it's Debbie with Kip's Corner. Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. Thanks for joining me. So I'm just having playtime here. I've got a couple different things going on, so I thought I'd just turn the camera on and see where it takes us. I'm working on, I have 3 journals going on at the moment, and all 3 of them are kind of in different stages, and so I've just been bouncing back and forth between the 3 journals, just doing different things for them. Right now, what I'm getting ready to do is work on this film strip. This is from Creative Expressions. It's the Tracy Fox Creative, part of the Bugtastic. It's called Bugology Negatives. And I've stamped this long one onto two different times onto cardstock craft paper. Cut out all the parts and pieces and just inked up the edges just a little bit. And so now I'm just going to play a little bit more with these. I'm going to start pulling some of the bugs out. I've used some of these already. I've got just a strip. This is cut to be just slightly smaller than the film strip. And what I'm doing is, let's see, let's take another one. Feels like there's 2 there. No, just one. What I did is I just roughly inked through this just in strokes going up and down so that I could almost get that scratchy effect. And I used a brush. And this is walnut stain, sorry. And I want to do this to it. Pushing down harder in some spots, lighter in others, and that's what helps give me that scratchy effect. And so I'm just going to do that here. Yeah, there's a couple little scratches in there. That's perfect. And then I'll just go ahead and ink the rest of the edge. Well, no, I don't need to ink that. I'm going to be covering it up. Never mind. Let me make sure that's long enough. Yep. Okay. Get that out of my way. Next thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go ahead and glue. Mica tiles come like this. They come in different size packages. I think this is like the medium size, might even be the bigger size. And they're layers and layers. And so this is a thinner layer, which has very little color to it. But the more layers you have, the darker it gets. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just play with, but I don't want to put the mica tile on perfectly square. I want it to be sort of just partially, almost like the glass cracked. Ooh, that one does look like it cracked. So let's cut that here. Cut that right there. I'll cut the side off later. That one works. So let's glue that one on. I'm going to glue it right down this part right here. And right, like, let's come over here a little bit. And let's go up here a little. Let's try that. See if we like that. Then I'm just going to put a little dot here. I think what I want to do is put maybe 3 on here. Maybe this one goes like this. That's the one that's lighter. Yeah, maybe we do this one like that. So let's put a dab of glue here. I'll hold that down for a second. And let's put a dab of glue here. Try not to put as much glue on it as I did last time. Smoosh that out. Like that. Okay. Same thing, I'm going to cut that off. Now what I want to do, I think, I have little tiny mica pieces all over the place. My desk is a mess. I can't work on 3 journals. Actually, let me do the same thing over here. I can't work on 3 journals at the same time and not make a huge mess. Pretty much what I'm doing now on all 3 of the journals is just finishing up things like journaling cards and pockets and stuff like that. And so I am really close to being to a point where I will sew them in. And they are all, I'm keeping them all, kind of trucking them all at the same pace. So there we go. Cute. Simple, easy. Love it. So I'll ultimately end up sewing, doing a sewing in marathon. And then from there, finishing them off. So we're in, I'm doing okay. I had originally wanted to get these all finished by the end of the month. I don't know if that's going to happen yet or not. I mean, it's possible. I have several projects that I need to get started on, one of which is the December daily for Tracy Fox Creative for her channel. I'm one of the artists. My day is December 31st. No, 21st. No, 21st. December 21st. And I have no idea yet what I'm going to do, but typically I try to get it done well in advance before I start seeing other makers. That just helps me to make sure, while many of us, it's quite possible that we end up doing very similar things. I try not to have seen anything before I shoot my video, create my piece and shoot my video. And then that way, I don't know, it just makes it easier for me to do my own thing and not worry about anyone else. It can be intimidating. There are some very awesome, elaborate projects that are done, and it's every single day of the month. So it's, you talk about inspiration overload. Tracy's kit this year has well over 150 pages to it. It's massive. She's got it divided up into stories. It's an anthology, and there are four or five, I think, different stories, and each every 5 days or something like that, 6 days, a new story starts. So the designers all have, we all have a day, and then our story. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it. By way of us having a day, we have a specific story that we would be creating too. So, hope that makes sense. Put one here. Is that straight? No. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not straight. The next 2 things I want to do came from just flipping through. I don't even know where I was. Instagram, maybe? Pinterest, maybe? I don't know. And this is going to be hard to explain. But these are this is just deli paper tissue. Let's see, bakery tissue. Like the tissue you see at the donut store, at the self-service, where you pick up the tissue and then you can grab the donut without touching anything. Yeah, so bakery tissue. And it's just paint. This is paint with some fiber paste in it. This one has some crackle in it. You can see it actually is actually really for real cracking. I think this one is crackle paste too. And then these are just liquid acrylic, just kind of thrown onto the deli paper. And so that's, let's see, that's one side's shiny, one side's dull. So there's just a mix, right, of and this is just a random mix of color. This is acrylic paint. I think this is acrylic paint mixed with something too. Feels like it. Feels like it's also fiber. And then just some paint here. So the idea here is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a base and lay these down on top of each other with fluid matte gel medium. I'm going to make a mess. I know. Let me get rid of this. And between the bottom two layers, there's going to be some string. Then when that dries, I think I want to wait it to dry. I didn't get instructions here. I'm just going by what I saw, guessing. Then when it dries, you pull the string, and you're pulling that string through layers. You know, maybe there's 3 or 4 layers here, and it creates this ripped and chipped paint effect. And then what I thought I would do is take a piece, you know, these are plenty big, right? And then take a piece of that after it's been ripped, and then adhere it to a tag as sort of a base. So I don't know if this is going to work or not, and it's going to take a hot minute for it to dry. So, yeah, I'm just going to start. I think I want my bottom layer. I'm going to make probably more than one. I think I want my bottom layer to be a darker color. So let's start there. I think the wrinkles will just add to it. I don't know if I'm doing this the way this person did it, but I think that's okay too if I'm not, if it works. I just want to make sure I get that nice and covered. Okay. Next up, now I want to put my string down. I think if it's curvy like this, it'll actually be kind of a neater effect because the string will rip curvy then. I want to do another technique. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Just like I don't know if that one's going to work or not. This other one is much simpler. It does not require copious amounts of glue. I've got it prepped and ready to go. So this one is a sort of a paper weaving. Let's see, is this dry? Yeah, it's dry. So what I did is, this is just a piece of the paper from the kit that I'm working on, the giveaway journal. And what I did, you can see it better on this side, is I just measured about 1 inch down and from both sides, top and bottom, drew a line, and then I made tick marks every 1/2 inch and then cut from the line. And I did that because I didn't want to accidentally cut way up here and end up ripping it. So this is my starting point and my ending point. And these are all cut into 1/2 inch width strips, all the way from pencil mark to pencil mark. Then I have these, let's turn it over, these strips, and they are also all cut in 1/2 inch pieces. And so what I want to do is I want to weave. And yes, you're breaking up the image in the background, but I think this will create a cool background image. And I'm going to let that hang off to the side, but I am going to put a dab of glue underneath right there. And let's make sure we got this straight. That was the other reason for putting the line marks on the back, is that would allow me to get my strips straight across and not be wonky. All right, now let's do another one. What I and you can begin to see if you just look here that you can still see the bigger kind of parts of the pieces. It just creates this interesting pattern in the background. It should be kind of fun. That looks skinnier. Ta-da! Now, see, that's just kind of a neat pattern, right? It's just neat, cool, different. That was fun. So now I have this kind of cool background here, right? Something a little different. And now we can do some fun things with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, and you can see where I've got, you know, some spots where I need to check the glue. I tried to glue as I went along, but there's a couple spots where I didn't necessarily get the glue on there. You can begin to see now what I'm doing to this background is creating some of these worn spots. So like I said, I'll keep playing with that. And then this will be ready for some kind of a focal point on top of it. I don't know what yet. But yeah, base ready to go. Weaving paper, just a fun little thing to do. And then this will be a nice little tag to go into. This is the journal, the giveaway journal actually. So to recap, I didn't do a whole lot, but I did get these adorable little film strips ready to go. So those are ready to ink and then put into, there's another one here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Those are ready to ink, and then there it is. And then put into the, yes, the bug journal. What I didn't do was do anything today for the autumn journal, except I think if the ripping of that paper works, and I'll come back on and add video onto the back end of this after that has set and dried overnight. But if it works, then I will probably use some of the things from that in the in that journal. I just thought of maybe one more little thing I might want to do. So I might want to put a couple pieces of tape on here just for fun. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that. Definitely could on this one, but this is more of a let's wait and see what we put on top of it before I do anything else to it. So I love the Tim Holtz tape. I'm gonna fix this edge here too that's driving me nuts, that's not straight. And then I'll pop back on real quick and show you what I'm doing with the, what I think I'm gonna do with the string pieces. Okay, I'm back and I've got some finished pieces. So let's see, let's take a look at what we've got. And then some of this I think I showed while I was working, and some of it I didn't. So for the bug journal, these are the finished little strips. They're cute. You know, nothing new under the sun here, just the mica tiles, fun to play with. And now that you can see the glue's dry, I mean, you can kind of tell where the glue is, but you really can't see it. So those turned out cute. Okay, then the rest of these were made for this journal. This is the journal that's going to be the giveaway journal. It's just, you know, an antiques. I called it Toy Story. This is the one that I made this tag for in one of the other videos. And so these are pockets and miscellaneous pieces. So the first one is a tag. This is the weaving on the background that I showed you. And so this is where that ended up. I grunged up the pocket watch face. I put some vintage beeswax and embossing powder, baked texture on top of just part of this is like a game, you know, the top of a game. And then you can see some of the points and pieces coming through from the original printout that I had used, and then the strips. So that's finished. It's just cardstock on the back. I wrapped that around, and yeah, that one's done. So that turned out cute. Then the next one, I think I hadn't really messed with this too much, but this is a part of the printout page, one of the pages from Patty's paper. And this is another from this digital. It's just a digital of some children's toys, antique children's toys. And so, yep, sewed right through the word dollhouse, which is fine. This has got a little bit of warp to it just from the glue. It'll be fine once it's put in. And this is a pocket, and it's a double pocket. So there's a, well, that's too fat. Here you go. There's a pocket here on the front. And then once this is attached to the journal, that'll be a pocket there or side. I don't know, figure that out. But anyway, that's intended to be a pocket. So journal strips, you know, just fun little strips, a tag, a pocket. Here's another pocket. I don't remember if I was working on this either. But this is just a piece of chipboard that I put some crackle paste on and then dropped some acrylic ink in blues and browns. Then I went in, after that completely dried, I went in and added some rusting powder in a couple spots and got some nice, so you can kind of see that texture there. Nice texture. And then I just adhered it to, I think it maybe, I don't know which way it's going to go. Here's the back. See, it was the back. So I didn't use, when I got the papers from Patty, I had run them all through just some generic digital printouts that I had. And so this was one that I'd put on the back side of one of the papers that I ended up not using, folded in the journal. So I just went in and cut the piece out. So I don't know. I guess technically it goes this way. I don't even know because I don't know which way this goes. But we'll figure that out later. It feels like it should go that way. Maybe it's that way. I don't know. Anyway, that'll probably be a pocket. And then another journal card here. This is the stamp from Tracy Fox Creatives from her background stamp from her release with Creative Expressions. And so I just stamped that on a piece of, a digital printout paper. It had a lot going on in the background. Stamped that on, trimmed it out kind of close to size. Added a little bit of faux vintage tape. And then this is a mold that I have. So that piece was poured. I added first, what did I use on the brown? I think it's walnut crystals, dissolved walnut crystals on the brown, and then just some gold metallic wax on the top. So that's just turned out really cute, I think. You can kind of see. Fun little piece. And then it's just blank on the back for whatever you would want to do. So I don't think that's going to be a pocket, just because I think that might be a little bit heavy, thick. I mean, I'm not afraid of thick. In the bug journal I worked on over the weekend, and I created these pockets. The paper. This is the paper. Some of the paper that I was, doing Mad Scientist on. Trimmed some of those out and created pockets. And so, those are those metal bugs from Tim Holtz. They're really dimensional. And as a matter of fact, as a result of me doing all of that, I may take this down to 4 signatures instead of 5. I'm still contemplating, but they turned out adorable. I really like them. Let's see. I can show them to you. Here's another one. So that pocket. It's got the little, just, some of those pieces from the book bindery, some fabric. And on the bugs, they come sort of a silver toned. And so I used alcohol ink and wax. Look at that guy. Turned out really cool. There you go. So alcohol ink first, and then metallic wax on top of them. And I just used it in a couple different colors. So I really like the way that one turned out too. So like I said, I'm considering, I don't know yet. I've got the pockets in this. I think I'm pretty much done with all the pockets in here. What I don't have is all the ephemera, and I'm full. So that means I have no room for any ephemera. And I don't want it to be a big fat gator mouth piece. I don't mind if it's a little big. So what I'm probably going to do is take out one of the signatures and just take some of those pieces, parts and pieces and incorporated them into the others and just make it a 4-signature journal. We'll see. Okay, the one thing that I didn't do this week was work on another autumn journal. It is coming along just like the rest of them. And so one of the things that I tried earlier in this video, and I know you're anxious to see if it worked, and it sort of worked, it sort of didn't, was the idea of taking just layers upon layers of painty papers and putting string underneath them, letting that dry completely, and then pulling the string out. So it did sort of work. And so here's one where, so the very first missing string here, I did while it was still wet because I kind of wanted to see what the difference would be. And then here, this middle section almost completely came out because that's the very, very bottom layer. There's some chips and pieces on here. But it did work. It's just kind of a cool texture. So what I did is on the second one, I trimmed it down to this tag. This is a tag base. It's the same tag base that I used here. Trimmed it down to this size. And now this is what I have. So here, this is kind of folded over, so you're seeing 3 of the sheets. It looks like one of them sort of is completely missing. There's a little lip there. It is really cool. It's a neat texture, and depending on what your layers, so it sort of worked and it sort of didn't. It didn't work quite what I had thought it might, but it did work. Does that make sense? And there's, some of this is sort of kind of coming loose, right? Just from me pulling the string and loosening it up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cutout part now, and I'm going to work on gluing down some of these pieces just so that they don't come off. And I'll work on, exposing more in some places and just kind of having some fun with it and get that to a place where I kind of like it. And then I think what I'm going to do is flatten it out just a little bit. And then I thought what would be really pretty is if this had then a silhouette of a tree on it. So that's where my head is right now. I'll play with it a little bit more, but you can see I've got this the exact size. So at some point I'll adhere this to this tag base just to give it a little more stability. But I do want to play with this this smaller piece. So now I've got it kind of zeroed in, and here's some of the other parts and pieces. But you can see this is just really cool. But this is loose, and that's from me messing with it. And then here's a piece that I cut off. So it really is a neat texture, and it really worked out pretty well. Like I said, not exactly the way I had hoped it would, but all in all, I'm happy with it. Just have to play a little bit more. So once I determine what I'm going to do with this piece, I'll do the same thing, trim it down to manageable size and sizes, and then come in here individually and kind of play with these. And you can kind of see that this, this will still roll, but this is loose. So that's got to be fixed right there. That's got to be glued back down to the base before I do much of anything. So fun stuff. Yeah, it turned, I think it's kind of a cool effect. Okay, so that's that. I will be back. I'm getting really, really close to being able to start sewing in signatures on all 3 of these journals. And once I sew them in, I'll kind of do a bulk. I'll do all 3 of them at the same time. And then I'll go in and add some vintage ephemera pieces to all of these, to the pockets and things like that. Finish off the covers with metal corners, and then they will be done. So we're getting really, really close. I have to get done with them because I've got 2 other projects I need to get started on. So 3. So yeah, so much going on and such a busy time of year. So bear with me. We'll get them done. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.